Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we'll be discussing the worst case scenario for each lottery team in the upcoming draft. Some of them will be player-based, but a majority of them will be looking at the least ideal situation on draft night. Kicking it off with the Washington Wizards, their worst case scenario on draft night is not drafting AJ DeBonza with the #1 pick. As of recently, there's been some smoke about Darren Peterson potentially getting drafted with that first overall pick. This is no shade to him. I think that he will be a fine player in the NBA, but AJ DeBonza has a greater chance at being generational. And if you're the Washington Wizards, with all the moves you made at the trade deadline, acquiring Trae Young, Anthony Davis, I'm not sure if that fits the image of what this Washington Wizards team wanted to come into next season looking like. If you're the front office and ownership, yes, you want to look at all options at #1, but AJ DeBonza feels like the clear-cut answer for that first overall pick. With the second overall pick, we have the Utah Jazz, and for them, their least ideal situation on draft night is drafting Darren Peterson. This is no shade on him to open up the video, but the first two teams on the board do not feel like ideal fits. Utah could use him, but it's another situation like with Ace Bailey last year, where it seems like Peterson has made up his mind for where he wants to be drafted at. If you're the Jazz, I think you avoid the negative juju there and focus on what you're building in Utah right now. They're coming off of a solid season. After acquiring Jaren Jackson Jr., you have Lauri Markkanen. If you make the right pick at #2, this Utah Jazz team can surprise folks next year. At #3, we have the Memphis Grizzlies. Their worst case scenario will be trading down. Yes, they could acquire more draft capital and they desperately need it, but with the third overall pick in this year's draft, it would be better for them to keep that pick and draft the best player available. Now, I'll get into that with my best case scenario video. The Grizzlies desperately need another star. If Ja Morant ends up being traded here during the summer or by the trade deadline next year, the fans need to have a player who can build up hope for the future. If you trade down, your odds of acquiring a star player decrease. So for the Grizzlies, they need to avoid teams like OKC. I'm not sure if the Thunder would trade up that high. They have a treasure chest of picks that could be enticing, but if you're the Grizzlies, stay at #3 and hopefully acquire the next star for your franchise. Next, we have the Chicago Bulls. In the worst case scenario, the Bulls miss out on Cam Boozer and Caleb Wilson, and they're forced to have to draft another guard. And there's already a logjam at the guard position. They desperately need size in that front court. And if it's not possible to acquire a reasonable forward or center at this spot, it's going to be a huge loss after getting lucky in the draft lottery. At the 5th pick, we have my Clippers. The worst case scenario for them is trading down. Similar to Memphis, but slightly different. The Clippers need to draft a star at this spot. They don't control their picks over the next couple of years, and it's going to be instrumental that they hit here. With trading down, even if it is a really good offer, you lose out on potentially a really great player at the #5 pick. I think they are better off staying put at the #5 spot and drafting a good to great player at that position. Next up, we have the Brooklyn Nets. Their worst case scenario is drafting the wrong guard. There's pressure on the Nets organization to hit on this draft pick because they don't control their destiny next year. If anything, Brooklyn wants to be competitive coming into next season, and having this pick in this year's draft will allow them to at least get an impactful player. And if they don't get that, it's going to be a long next few years for this Brooklyn organization. For the Sacramento Kings at the 7th pick, their worst case scenario is overpaying for Darius Acuff. Acuff, to me, has the potential to be a superstar, and there is a chance that either the Clippers or the Nets take him ahead of the Kings. If you're Sacramento, I don't think you want to overpay to acquire him. The one element with acquiring Acuff is that you have to build a really good roster around him. That's how Jalen Brunson and the New York Knicks were able to have success and ultimately win a championship. It is going to be instrumental in the Kings not giving up too much because they need the draft capital to continue solidifying this roster for the next few years. For the Atlanta Hawks at the 8th pick, the worst case scenario for them is overthinking. They could add another guard considering they just extended CJ McCollum for only a year. Maybe they look to solidify the wing position. Ademora feels like the best pick at this spot for Atlanta. For the Hawks front office, it's best for them not to overthink. They're in a pretty solid spot in the East right now, and they're in a ton of rumors when it comes to acquiring Jaylen Brown potentially. Sit tight here at the 8th spot and select the best player available based off of your roster needs. We have the Dallas Mavericks at the 9th spot. Their least ideal situation is not drafting with the intent of Cooper Flag. Flag is the building block for this organization moving forward, so they need to build a good roster around him so they can compete in the long run. At the 10th spot, we have the Milwaukee Bucks. Their worst case scenario is not having another lottery pick. Surprise, surprise, at the time of this recording, Giannis has yet to be traded. If Giannis is traded before the draft or on draft night, there's a strong likelihood of the Bucks acquiring another lottery pick in this year's draft. That would be instrumental in their rebuild because they need multiple bites at the apple. For the Golden State Warriors, their worst case scenario is adding another guard. I'm tired of this team with drafting guards. I know they've had more draft success with that, but this team desperately needs more size. Considering they want to win one more title with Steph, they're better off finding a prospect here at the 11th spot who fits their needs for this current iteration of the team. Next up, we have OKC. Their worst case scenario draft night is now acquiring Ademora. He feels like a really good option for them at the center position. Ihart is expected to be a free agent this summer. If you can acquire Mora, that allows you to get cheaper at that position while allowing you to keep a majority of the players you have right now under contract. For the Miami Heat, their worst case scenario is drafting another role player. There's nothing wrong with having role players on the roster, especially coming out of the lottery. Every single year, we see a role player step up and be the key reason for why a team wins a championship. But if you're the Miami Heat, you have a ton of role players right now on this roster. You need someone who's going to be a difference maker and puts you over the top. Now, considering who will be available at this spot, it is extremely less likely. You just want to have someone who can be impactful and allows you to compete in the East next year. And to wrap it up, we have the Charlotte Hornets at the 14th pick. Their worst case scenario is not solidifying their front court. They have a ton of talent in that backcourt with Khan and LaMelo Ball and B-Mill. He's a forward, so that's part of their front court, but he needs some more help. In particular, they need more size. Ademora will probably be off of the board at this pick. Is there a 4 who can play big and allow this Hornets team to continue to play at their fast pace, which allowed them to improve as a team as the season progressed during the second half of the year? That's gonna do it for me. Let me know down in the comments, what's the worst case scenario you have for each lottery team here in the draft? Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. We got a ton of more NBA offseason coverage to get through. Plus, NFL season is on the horizon. Thank you guys if you made it all the way to the end, and I'll see you all in the next one.